We are live. UFC Paris is in the books. Imavov versus Borralho is done. Team Fighting Nerds went 0-2 tonight. Paris or France 5-0 tonight. We saw 9 knockouts, and it was a hell of a fight night. So we're going to get right into it, starting off with this main event where we had Borralho versus Nassourdine Imavov. And this was a high stakes matchup because this was one of the two matchups between this one and the Anthony Hernandez matchup coming up that we're going to see that had number one contender stakes. And with this fight, we really saw a little bit of levels when it comes to the striking of Imavov versus Borralho. And for Borralho, it looks like he was a little slower and he wasn't really able to get out of first gear. He mentioned in the post fight, not able to get that adrenaline really going during the fight. So for Imavov, he was playing off the back foot, really beautiful counter striking all night long, and he was just quicker on almost every exchange throughout the night. And it was very rare and in between where Borralho was getting some shots. He was landing some really good body kicks throughout the fight. But outside of that, Imavov was on the front foot and dictating the pace through his counter wrestling or counter striking, I should say, and a little bit of counter wrestling too. 0 for 5 for Chow for the takedown attempts for him. So it was a interesting fight when it comes to overall the what you're going to get out of it. Now, interestingly, like I said, this is a potential number one contender fight. He wants Khamzat Chimaev. So is that the fight we see next? Potentially. Now, he did say he had an injury. He felt maybe a tendon or a ligament on the back of his foot. Not feel so great during or after the fight. So not sure what's the recovery time or turnaround time for that one. But I thought it was a great performance by him. I think he showed levels tonight. And I think for Borralho, not a lot to hang his head on when it comes to the negatives. I mean, he still has a lot of room to grow as the Team Fighting Nerds overall. You know, Mauricio Rufri getting the loss in the co-main event. But I think for tonight, it was a lot of just opportunities for those guys to go back to the drawing board, revamp, learn some new skills, sharpen up on what they might have not been as sharp on, and come back into the field. Because we saw for a long time, Team Fighting Nerds doing their thing. But for Imavov, he just tonight was absolutely surgical. The sniper, I believe, is his nickname, and he just showed that pretty much all night long. So shout out to Nassourdine Imavov getting the win tonight. Made it look really clean throughout most of the fight. Now, moving to the co-main event, we had Benoit Saint Denis versus Mauricio Ruffi, and I thought this was going to be a lot more striking. I know the wrestling and the offensive grappling of Benoit Saint Denis has been there, but he's always tend to want to strike. But the fight IQ really came into play this fight. And for Benoit Saint Denis, he was just able to take Ruffi to the ground pretty much at will. The first time he took him down, he was able to get in mount, and I believe less than the first minute of the fight. Even though Ruffi got him off, he was able to get back into that position. Couple of times Ruffi was able to slide him off and maybe get on top for a little bit, but he did not really want to engage with Benoit Saint Denis on the ground at all. And in the second round, it was not even a full rear naked choke. It was a neck crank or a chin crank, a face crank essentially, where he had the elbow essentially on the jaw, or essentially what Khamzat Chimaev did to Robert Whitaker, but on a lesser note, of course. But Ruffi felt like the pressure was too much, and he got the tap. And for Benoit Saint Denis, it's exciting because I think for him, after the loss for Dustin Poirier, I do believe he lost to Money Moicano as well. Maybe thought to see maybe he might have been going downhill, right? And before that, he was really on an upswing, right? Before going that, yep, Moicano beat him, and before that, Dustin Poirier beat him. But yeah, like you said, he's making a comeback. He's, I believe, ranked 7th or 8th currently. But going against Guy and Ruffi, who was just extremely dangerous, striking on another world. After Benoit Saint Denis able to take him down, Ruffi was literally frozen in the fight and during the fight. So it was quite a scene to see Ruffi just be so far out of his element. So shout out to Benoit Saint Denis. Now, for as far as next matchup goes, let's actually we'll do this together. Let's pull up the rankings and let's see what we can find as far as potential matchups here. So let's copy and paste this good old boy. Bang. Now at 155, we have Benoit Saint Denis here at 13. I mean, Fiziev, he just won his last fight. Maybe you see, hey, Benoit versus Grant Dawson, right? Give me that. Give me some more Grant Dawson. We'll see some good exchanges in that one. I think that one is a really good fight for him. I believe Grant deserves a higher fight than that, but I think for him just to continue to get someone at least that's ranked, to get him back in the cage eventually at some point. I'm trying. Let's see the ranking MMA so we can see what the schedule looks like at 155. So scheduled at the top of the lightweight division is actually nobody. Yeah, Fiziev beat Bahamondes, Gamrot beat Klein, Hooker beat Gamrot, Dariush was with that one where he beat. So yeah, a couple of interesting matchups here. I mean, really for him, he was at the really close to the top of the divisions not too long ago. So I can see him fighting maybe a Mateusz Gamrot, or someone of that nature, a Beneil Dariush, right, to work his way back up to the top. But I think for him overall, just a great performance for him to go out there in Paris and to get the win in front of his home crowd. Absolute destruction. Now, speaking of destruction, Modestas Bukauskas retiring Paul Craig, and that was a fight where you saw the disadvantage. It was a very clear striker versus grappler matchup where Paul Craig was just allowing himself to eat a couple shots to try to get the takedown, as we saw Michael say on the show today. But yeah, it was really going to the end of the fight. Paul Craig decided it was a good idea to jump guard, and Bukauskas was not about that shit at all and started raining down some elbows, some ground and pound. And the last elbow right before the buzzer hit him just perfectly and put him almost out, caused Paul not to respond to the referee. And from there, that was it. At the end of the day, it was Bukauskas getting the dub for him that as well. Now, this was actually a very interesting fight. Bolahi Oki versus Mason Jones. Oki, at the beginning of the fight, landed a really nice punch that put Mason Jones down. He was almost pretty much out of the fight. I actually texted Dave during the live stream saying, hey, maybe if Oki burns himself out, Jones comes back. And that's exactly what happened. After the first 3 minutes or so of the first round, where Oki was just pouring it on, Mason Jones decided, hey, all right, it's my time now. Put Oki on his back, started landing some really nice ground and pound, and was able to get the TKO in the second round after really just outlasting Oki. So for that one, that was an exciting fight as well. And like I said earlier on this card, we had, I think, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 TKOs on this card, which tied a UFC record. So very exciting fight, honestly. I mean, matchup overall, just the nights we had what, one or two or three decisions, the main event, Gomez fight at the beginning of the card, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, and the Gomez versus Rushala fight, we're gonna keep it a buck. That fight was a little slow, but Gomez showed that he's able to do his thing there. But Axel Sola versus Reese McKee, this was a very exciting fight. Both guys really were going back and forth in this one, and Sola was really sharper in a lot of the fight, but Reese McKee was just tough as nails, able to eat some of those shots and continue punching back. Made Sola eat some really good punches, but Sola did a beautiful body shot that put Reese down, landed some nice ground and pound for a little bit while Reese was on his knee. Questionable stoppage. It was a little quick, I should say. On that one, could have gave it another second or two just to see if Reese was working himself back up, because he was on his knees, not just fully, even on his side or on the ground. But shout out to Axel Sola for a good one. And then just going to the prelims, some of the fun prelims there. I want to give a shout out to my main man, Ante Dalia, walking trouble, the most beautiful fighter in all of mixed martial arts, getting the win versus Marcin Tybura. He was the 7th ranked heavyweight. Ante making his UFC debut and was able to get the win. Flurries, put Marcin Tybura on this back heel. Tybura tried to clinch up after the clinch broke. Ante right back on the front foot, able to get the knockout. pretty easy showing by Ante D'Elia, and I'm super excited to see what the future holds for him. He was training with the Aspinall family during this camp, so we'll see what that ceiling looks like for Ante. 35 years old, but in the heavyweight division, that's still plenty of time, man. Like, he's got plenty of time to work here, so I'm super excited to see how far my main man Ante D'Elia goes with that one. Robert Bursak versus Brad Tavares. Amazing fight. Very much back and forth. Wonder if that got fight of the night. Let's see if we can see which fights got fight of the night with this one. But as we pull that up, I mean, Imavov versus Khamzat Chimaev. That's a matchup where it's still really hard to see Imavov getting the advantage on Chimaev. Now, the interesting part, or what makes that matchup interesting, would be the speed of Imavov, because we saw tonight, even on a bad foot, he was able to really do his thing and get the strikes landed versus a very good Borralho, who hasn't lost in 10 years, hasn't lost in the UFC, versus some very solid competition so far. So I think for Imavov, if he's able to potentially, just for the beginning of a couple rounds, if he's able to last more than one round, use his speed for those couple of strikes and try to get something before he gets taken down. We did see him defend all 5 takedowns tonight versus Borralho, but Khamzat Chimaev and Caio Borralho, that's 2 different levels of takedowns when it comes to what we'll see there. So I still do think that's a tough one. I do still see Khamzat Chimaev retaining if that matchup does happen anytime soon. But we do have, like I said, also Reiner de Ridder versus Anthony Hernandez. Both those guys have a lot higher level of grappling, and Hernandez, especially the cardio that he has when it comes to it as well. Now, we did see the cardio not to work out so well with DDP, but I think the winner of that fight, if they show a little bit better, or a little bit more sharp performance than what we saw tonight, could end up earning themselves a fight. And that one is less than a month away as well, or just over a month away, I should say, too. So if Imavov does need surgery and Anthony Hernandez and Reiner de Ridder put on a show, maybe one of those guys gets it done. Or, hey, the wild card, Paulo Costa, that's always the joker that you can throw in the hat as well. So I'm excited to see if it's Nassourdine Imavov or the winner of Anthony Hernandez or Reiner de Ridder or Paulo Costa that gets the fight against Chimaev. But with the dominance that we've seen of Khamzat Chimaev, I would not bet against him against any of those guys with what I've seen so far. But so far for tonight, we're going to call it a show. We got me running solo tonight. We had a couple, like I said, really good fights with Farikdinov with a beautiful win against Gustafsson. Put him down there. Did not get to see the first fight of the night, unfortunately, but Sam Patterson versus Trey Waters. That one, really, whoever was landing the first punch was going to win that fight, and it just happened to be Sam Patterson. Trey Waters wasn't keeping his hands up as much as I usually like to see a fighter do against someone that is as hard-hitting as Sam Patterson. We saw it didn't really work out so well against King Green versus Mauricio Rufri, and Sam Patterson ended up making the same thing happen to Trey Waters there. And yeah, like I said, honestly, it was a very exciting fight night overall. Umar Sy getting the win over Brandonson Ribeiro as well. Took him down, got the stoppage win. Easy win, honestly, for Umar. But overall, the fight card, I would give this one a 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10. Yeah, I don't see why not to give it a 10, because you had 12 finishes. Main event was entertaining. One kind of slow fight in the beginning of the main card, but outside of that, I thought this was an excellent card. You had name value. The crowd was in it. I mean, shout out to this Paris crowd. Not only this week, last week in WWE, they just know how to be an excellent audience and make the environment for what we're watching as a fan that much better. So that's it for me, guys. Make sure you guys keep us locked in right here on Fight Bananas, right here on YouTube. We're going to be coming to you live a lot more, or locking it right here on a lot more here. So if you're not already, make sure you guys subscribe, like the video, follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well. And until next week, guys, we'll see you guys after the fight.
Are you ready for the main event?
2 hits. They hitting you, you hitting the floor.
It's over.
It's time for Boxing Bananas, brought to you by Fight Bananas.